Hello and welcome back to another episode of Weather or Not. I'm your host, Frank Gargione. Joined alongside me is forecaster Luke Snyder. Now, Luke, it has been dry since the beginning of August, but we're finally getting some much needed rain. What can you tell us?
Absolutely. That rain has really been making its way through much of the Northeast. Very, very nice conditions. I know rain might not be so pleasant, but we're definitely in some desperate need. Showers are going to continue for the next few days, but we do see a bit of that dryness make its way again in this forecast period.
Thank you, Luke. You'll hear from Luke in just a second, but for now, our nature in the news.
Fall is here, and so are shorter days, fall foliage, and cooler conditions. Autumn officially started Monday at 2:19 p.m. Eastern Time, the exact moment of autumnal equinox. The equinox causes nearly equal amounts of sunlight to every place on Earth, with many experiencing just over 12 hours of daylight. The autumnal equinox also results in the most dramatic decreases in daylight. More northern areas closer to the poles, like DC and Boston, will lose over 2.5 minutes of sunlight every day. However, more tropical regions like Florida will only see about 1.5 minutes of lost sunlight per day. These changes in daylight length occur from Earth's 23.5-degree axis tilt, resulting in the northern hemisphere leaning away from the sun during our winter months. In addition to shorter days, the next few months will be a transitional phase in the atmosphere. The polar vortex will begin to grow, bringing with it cooler air, and the jet stream will migrate south, resulting in more active weather. So, as we start gearing up for the fall season, be ready for some large-scale storm systems, whirling winds, and before you know it, winter storms and blizzards.
As Luke mentioned, the autumn equinox has passed, which means that it is time for some fall foliage. Higher elevations, as well as communities near the U.S.-Canada border, are beginning to notice the first changes in leaves in what is yet another sign that meteorological fall is underway. According to ground observations and satellite data, signs of fall foliage have already been reported in the higher elevations of Colorado, Wyoming, and New York, with more communities being added to the list each day. The science behind changing leaves is rooted in a plant's chlorophyll, as chlorophyll allows trees to convert sunlight into energy. However, as daylight decreases and temperatures cool, chlorophyll breaks down. This helps reveal yellows, oranges, and reds that were previously masked by the dominant green pigment. As the days go on, more of the United States can expect leaves to change over to reveal those colors. While many look forward to the vibrant fall foliage, local weather plays a big role in how the colors develop, with drought, storms, or unusual warmth all affecting the timing and the intensity of the display.
Fat Bear Week is in full swing again this year. Alaska's Katmai National Park is continuing their annual competition where the public votes for the fattest bear of the year. Starting in 2014, Fat Bear Week was created to celebrate the resiliency of brown bears as they prepare their bodies for hibernation. The bears put on as much weight as possible by eating the overflow of salmon in the Brooks River. The competition follows a single elimination format, with matchups between two bears taking place. Viewers can vote for each matchup on which bear they believe best exemplifies fatness and success. Bears with the most votes advance to the next round until the finale, where only one bear will be crowned the Fat Bear Week champion. Matchups are open for voting from September 23rd through the 30th between 12 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Wednesday morning marked a major leap forward in how we monitor the sun and protect Earth's infrastructure from solar storms. NASA and NOAA successfully launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, sending 3 satellites into space aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9. One of these satellites, NOAA's Space Weather Follow-on Lagrange 1, is designed to dramatically upgrade our solar storm forecasting capabilities. The satellite will house instruments like plasma sensors, ion detectors, a magnetometer, and a compact coronagraph to detect things like coronal mass ejections heading our way. The satellite will sit about 1 million miles from Earth at the Lagrange point 1, giving us advanced warning of solar disturbances before they arrive. Solar storms can disrupt GPS signals, satellites, radio communications, and even the electrical grid. With the data coming in as often as every 7 minutes, forecasters will have a much clearer and more real-time picture of space weather, allowing utilities, airlines, and satellite operators to better prepare and respond. All of this aims to usher in a new era of space weather forecasting, one where we don't just repeat the solar activity, but anticipate it.
We've had some rain making its way through much of the Commonwealth these past few days, but those dry conditions that we saw quite a bit in August and early September are back yet again later on this weekend. But right now for the weekend, we do see that low pressure to our north in New York really well situated. We've been seeing a lot of this system really kind of stagnantly stalling across much of Pennsylvania, and that's been such the rainmaker these past few days as well. The system is continuing to make its way across. We have that cold front making its way through Pennsylvania throughout much of the day on Friday, and a warm front to our north in the more New England area, putting us in that perfect warm sector area, that kind of pocket of warmer air masses is really what's going to be fueling a lot of these rain showers, potentially some of those isolated thunderstorms that we've been seeing the past few days. A few of those are going to be expected locally as well. However, as we move behind that cold front, we do see some of that drier and more mild air eventually begin to make its way throughout much of the region. We're going to see that slowly start impacting us as we head into Saturday as well. Some high pressure right behind that system is going to be pushing this rain along further to the eastern coast, especially going to be impacting that kind of New England area as well, and again continuing it down along that eastern coastline, especially into the Virginias and Carolinas as well. They're going to be seeing some of this rain continuing day after day as well. For Saturday, though, State College is right on that cusp of where that rain is expected to stop formulating. So we're going to be seeing some of those on again, off again showers throughout much of the day on Saturday, impacting here at Penn State for the whiteout weekend as well. Now we have that cold front to our north that's going to continue migrating its way down further south. Again, another low pressure system that we're going to be watching with that counterclockwise rotation, bringing in some of that cooler air behind that cold front again later on this week. But we have that high pressure again that we saw over here in the Midwest continuing to move over eastward. That's going to be really well situated over much of Pennsylvania. Rain is going to be moving much further south into the Carolinas and Virginias yet again. That lower portion, that kind of lower tier, southern 1/3, I would say, of the state is going to be seeing some of those lingering showers, though, as we head into Sunday as well. But for Friday evening, we're going to be looking at a high of 78 with some of those conditions beginning to ever so slightly start drying out. But we're going to start seeing some of that real dryness start to impact us later on in the weekend. For Friday evening, clouds return yet again for mostly cloudy evening with a low of 56 degrees. And Saturday here for whiteout conditions, looking at a high of 75 with, again, some of those possible chances of scattered rain showers. It's going to be more so throughout the day. By evening time, though, we have that 7:30 nighttime kickoff. We're going to be seeing some more cool conditions, a little bit more fall-like, and many of those showers are expected to pass their way through, not really impacting us, hopefully, so much towards the tail end of our tailgating and our game time as well. Looking at a low of 57 degrees, mostly cloudy again Saturday evening, and into Sunday we see temperatures again upper 70s, looking at a high of 79 with little sun expected to close off our weekend. But up next we have Filippo Formica with a feature on the autumnal equinox.
The autumn season officially arrived this past Monday, September 22nd at 2:19 p.m. Eastern Time with the autumnal equinox. That's the precise moment when the Earth's tilt is perfectly lined up with the sun's rays, meaning day and night are nearly equal in length across the globe. It's one of those astronomy meets everyday life moments that marks a real turning point in the year.
Now here's the interesting part. The equinox doesn't fall on the same day every year. This year it landed on September 22nd. By 2027, it'll be on the 23rd. So what's going on here? Why does the date move around if the Earth's orbit is so steady?
The answer actually has less to do with the planet and more to do with our calendar. Thousands of years ago, astronomers realized the Earth doesn't take a neat and tidy 365 days to orbit the sun. Instead, it takes about 365 days, 5 hours, and 48 minutes. That extra time, almost 6 hours, adds up pretty quickly. To deal with that, we created leap years. Every 4 years, we tack on February 29th to balance the books. But here's where it gets even trickier. Even leap years don't completely fix the problem. Over centuries, those extra minutes start to throw things off. So the calendar has some special rules. For example, most years divisible by 100 are not leap years. But if a year is divisible by 400, then it is. So the year 2000 was a leap year, but 1900 wasn't, and 2100 won't be either. It sounds messy, but this fine-tuning helps keep the calendar synced up with Earth's orbit around the sun. Because of this imperfect calendar system, the dates of the solstices and equinoxes shift slightly every year. The winter solstice usually falls on December 21st or 22nd, the spring equinox on March 20th or 21st, the summer solstice between June 20th and 22nd, and the autumn equinox on either September 22nd or 23rd. You'll notice there's a little wiggle room. about a day or so on either side, depending on where we are in that leap year cycle. Now, what does that mean for us here at home? Well, practically speaking, not a whole lot. We still feel the seasons turning in the same way. Cooler mornings, earlier sunsets, football on the weekends, and pumpkin spice just about everywhere. But from a scientific standpoint, it's fascinating. It shows how human-made systems, like the calendar, are constantly adjusting to keep pace with natural cycles. Nature is steady. It's our bookkeeping that needs the tweaking. And think about this. At the equinox, no matter where you are on Earth, the sun rises due east and sets due west. If you head outside on the next clear day and line up with the sunrise or sunset, you're experiencing something people have observed for thousands of years. Farmers, sailors, and civilizations who built monuments like Stonehenge or Machu Picchu. These ancient sites were carefully aligned with these solstices and equinoxes in mind, proving just how important these seasonal markers have been across cultures.
So if you've ever wondered why sometimes autumn kicks off on the 22nd and other years on the 23rd, it's not because the Earth is late or early. The planet's right on time. It's our calendar that's constantly playing catch up. At the end of the day, that's part of the beauty of these seasonal moments. They remind us that while humans created systems to measure time, nature just keeps moving like clockwork. And with the equinox now behind us, the nights will keep getting longer, the air cooler, and before we know it, we'll be heading into the heart of fall. So grab your sweaters, enjoy the changing leaves, and maybe impress your friends by letting them know why the equinox changes from year to year. The next time someone says, wait, wasn't fall later last year? You'll have the answer. Because in the end, the Earth is always right on schedule. For whether or not, I'm Filippo for Formica.
Above average temperatures have been quite the story throughout much of September here in State College, but we started seeing our first real reprieve and some of those more seasonable fall-like conditions in the extended forecast. However, this past weekend we still did see those above average conditions persisting. Friday and Sunday especially going to be our best chance of seeing those much warmer conditions going on. Around 10 degrees above average for the daytime highs and around 5 to 10 degrees above average for those overnight lows. Friday looking at a high of 78, mid to upper 50s for your overnight low temperatures, and then Saturday's going to be that chance for some of that cooler conditions. Again, not cool in respect to what is seasonable for this time of year, but rather cool to what we've been seeing the past few weeks here in the Center County region. 75 is your high on Saturday. We do see that slight warm up again Sunday as we see some of those clouds begin to make their way into the area yet again. Some of those on again, off again showers are going to be the story for Friday and Saturday as well. However, for our extended forecast, we do start seeing a few lingering showers to start off our work week on Monday. However, we start seeing our first real chance of feeling like fall. We're not going to be seeing it until the end of the work week. Looking at that Wednesday, especially Thursday, we have our real chance of seeing our high temperature dip into the upper 60s, which is seasonable for this time of year, looking at that upper 60s for the average high this time of the month. But we do see pretty calm conditions persisting with a nice mix of sun and clouds throughout much of the week. But up next, we have our Whiz Quiz answer.
And the answer is B, deflecting the wind. Coriolis effect has a pretty large influence on the weather patterns here in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely, Frank. And we're going to be seeing some of that come into play alongside that polar vortex moving in and the southern migration of the jet stream, like I mentioned in my Nature in the News. So, all of those factors pulling in together, definitely going to be seeing a bit of an increase in, the intensity and the frequency of some of our severe weather here in the fall season.
Very nice. That is unfortunately all the time we have for today. Join us next week for another episode of Whether or Not. We'll see you then.